Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castro.
Happy Friday to all the brunchies. Sa mga ibang walang trabaho, weekend, pahinga na bukas. Although meron din mga may work on the weekend. Pero thank God na lang na may trabaho tayo at gumigising pa tayo.
Exactly. Naku, marami tayong pag-uusapan ulit. As always, dito sa brunch, we have top 10 na mga important issues.
Ano kaya ang top 1?
Oo, ano kaya sa tingin nyo, mga brunchies?
But before we move on,
ano? Oo nga, thank you muna. Marjorie Tan ng Buddha's Belly.
Oo, we're joined by Buddha's Belly this morning.
Sarap. Nasimula na namin kanina ni Diego kumain bago pa magsimula yung brunch.
Pero we have, of course, yung ano natin, yung Yang Chow fried rice. We have hakaw. Ano to?
Yung mga dim sums.
Dim sum platter, of course. So, what a nice Chinese breakfast.
Exactly. So, kayo,
brunch
ano
pala,
brunch
Chinese
nyo?
brunch. Oh.
Anong brunch nyo?
No, anong brunch nyo? Share nyo naman yung mga picture kung may picture kayo.
Uy, si ano daw si VP Sara, nag-ano daw pala, nag-overnight doon sa House of Representatives sa Congress. Mamaya alamin natin yung detalye.
House of Congress Hotel. Okay, we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is brunch.
Starting our countdown with a national victory. Gilas Pilipinas has ended our 4-game dry spell against New Zealand All Blacks in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers yesterday. Gilas and the All Blacks were back and forth in the first half of the game until they tied at 54 points. After that, there's no going back for Gilas after unleashing an 18-6 run and gained the lead against the world number 22. Final score 93-89. Justin Brownlee led the team with game-high 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Gilas will face Hong Kong next on Sunday to secure their spot in the FIBA Asia Cup.
Congratulations! Oo nga, nakita
yung first half kasi yung Tall Blacks, ang ganda ng perimeter game nila. They were shooting a lot of threes. Pero nung second half, nag-field si Tim Cone ng Kai Soto. Tapos 4 guards, almost 4 guards. So na-check yung mga 3-pointer nila. Tapos si Kai Soto pumutok. Nahirapan sila, they were having a hard time guarding Kai Soto when he was attacking the basket.
Ang galing.
Kaya,
so sabi nga nila great recovery daw from yung first half na sinasabi mo na.
Oo,
medyo
a triangle offense ni Tim Cone plus a very strong perimeter defense. Kasi alam mo naman si Tim Cone, ang emphasis niya defense first. Kaya congratulations sa Gilas.
Galing ni Kai, pinapakita dun sa sa video.
Ayun kay Soto. No, ang galing. Hirapan sila kay Kai. He was attacking the basket. Nagpi-pick and roll sila, daming rebounds, he was blocking.
Galing naman. Galing din
Tsaka
Team
yung Tall
Cone,
Blacks,
coach.
matatangkad sila. So, hindi, ibig sabihin, hindi putyo-putyo ang kalaban. Congrats!
Congratulations! Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown.
Settling at the 8th spot is the aftermath of previous storms. Some streets in the province of Isabela are still flooded due to the onslaught of Typhoon Pepito and its predecessors. Motorists are still unable to use some roads because they are still submerged in flood. Farmers are also scrambling to dry their corn grains along the highway of Ilagan City. They are hoping that some of the corn grains can still be sold to the markets.
Mahirap po kasi yun nga po. Baka bilhin na lang po ng mura yan. Loging-logi na siya.
Yun nakakalungkot sometimes yung nakikita natin sila, nawawalan sila ng yung product nila that they're able to sell. And then sometimes naman we overproduce like tomatoes and bell peppers, tinatapon natin. And then if titignan mo lahat ng tao all over the Philippines, daming nagugutom because they can't afford, di ba? So how can we remedy this?
Kasi may mga food projection dapat
a proper food management and food projection kasi may mga seasons na oversupply tayo. So instead na tinatapon sa kalye, why don't we find a way to distribute it to people all over the Philippines? Di ba, tapos may mga times, yung mga isda, yung mackerel ba yun? O anong klaseng fish?
Yung mga ang dami naman.
Dami nila nagsiswimming sa isang area,
di ba? Hindi na rin nila alam paano nila babawasan.
Pag-aralan natin yung peak seasons of each crop or each
tapos ito naman
food
kasi
staple.
sa Isabela, dahil sa baha yan, di ba? Dahil dun sa mga nagdaan na typhoon, sunod-sunod sa kanila. So kawawa din talaga yung mga farmers natin.
Yeah.
In the end, uutang na naman sila, 'di ba? Malulubog na naman sila sa utang and sila yung
It's just about proper management.
Yeah.
All right. Children are also reeling from the impact of the previous storms.
That's unfortunate to hear since we are also celebrating the National Children's Month this November. Now let's further talk about this with Save the Children Philippines Campaigns Manager Lay Tapang. Good morning, Lay.
Hi!
Hi!
Magandang araw po,
Yes.
Miss Angela. Happy National Children's Month din po sa mga branches, no?
Yes, that's right. It's so nice to see you and thank you for joining us today on Brunch. Diego.
Go ahead.
Oh, sige, unahin ko na to. Syempre, we would like to know, Lay, yung yung epekto ng typhoon o ng mga bagyo na nagdaan dito, of course, sa mga kabataan and of course dun sa community na nasasakupan o tinutulungan ng Save the Children Philippines.
Ayun, so hindi naman lingid sa kaalaman natin na 4 na malalakas na bagyo yung sunod-sunod na tumama sa loob lang halos ng 4 na linggo, no? Tapos, it's very unfortunate na some of this typhoons and some of those were even declared for a brief moment as super typhoons also took pare-parehas na lugar. So yung mga pamilya bumabangon pa lang, yung mga bata natatakot pa lang, yung iba nagsisimula pa lang sanang bumalik sa mga bahay nila galing evacuation centers, ay makakaranas na naman ng mga malalakas na bagyo. So, sa pag-iikot-ikot ng teams ng Save the Children Philippines mula ng Typhoon Christine, paulit-ulit naman yung panawagan natin na sana sama-sama pa rin yung pagtutulungan. So, we've already provided yung aming mga family hygiene kits kung saan makakatulong to na mag-prevent ng mga sakit na kumalat kasi usually yung mga cramped evacuation centers or dahil naulanan sila, nabasa sila galing sa bagyo, malalakas na hangin, mabilis silang makakatch ng flus at iba pang sakit. So, nakapagbigay. Pero siguro, Miss Angela, yung kalagayan ng mga bata ngayon, di ba, ang sakit lang isipin as we celebrate yung buwan na to para sa kanila, na milyong-milyong mga bata, no, si Secretary Angara made an announcement na sa may Car region alone, 35 school days yung nawala and may anticipation of almost 50 school days yung mawawala by end of the year. Ilang quarters na yon para dun sa mga bata na sana nakakapag-aral sila. Dun sa mga nakausap nating bata, hindi nawawala yung takot na baka maulit-ulit yung mga nangyari kasi lumalakas yung mga bagyo, dumadalas. So, we've also provided child-friendly spaces, temporary learning spaces, back-to-school kits at iba pa. Gusto siguro namin i-highlight lang ay sa kalagayan ng mga bata, yung pinakamahalaga lagi para matugunan yung takot na nararamdaman nila ay maibalik yung sense of normalcy nila.
Yes.
Maramdaman nila, ayun po, nasa kabila. Alam niyo yan, Miss Angela,
Yes,
dahil ilang
so
bagyo, humanitarian responses yung laging kaagapay namin kayo ni Sir Angelo.
Yes.
Mahalaga.
Go ahead.
Ayun,
Go ahead.
Mahalaga po na yung mga bata, although hindi sila agad babalik sa bahay nila, makakapaglaro sila. So kahit nasa evacuation center sila, yung may makausap sila, malaking tulong yun sa kanila. So pag bumababa po yung team ng SAVE, we just don't do interviews, we talk to them. We talk to the parents na mas nag-absorb din syempre nung shock yung pag-aalala kung paano itataguyod ulit yung pamilya. Ang striking siguro dito sa mga sunod-sunod na bagyo din ay yung mga landslides na nangyari kung saan kumitil ng buhay ng maraming bata, 'di ba? One death is too many para sa mga ganitong kalamidad. Ayun, siguro.
Miss Lay, tanong ko lang din kasi yun nga lahat ng mga nabanggit mo talagang syempre ang nasa isipan natin is tungkol sa mga kabataan and I also like you to tell us more about yung campaign ng Save the Children which is yung Lahat Dapat Safe campaign. Ano ba tong campaign na ito?
So yung Lahat Dapat Safe campaign po ng Save the Children Philippines talks about hindi lang ngayong Pasko pero sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay lahat tayo dapat safe. Lahat tayo afforded ng dignity at pakiramdam na kahit na yung Pilipinas for 3 consecutive years ay top 1 sa World Risk Index, paano ba tayo maghahanda? So it calls for everyone, for those who have spare change, spare money to help, tulungan natin yung mga communities na makabangon. So by visiting our page, bit.ly lahat dapat safe. You can check out kung paano kayo pwedeng tumulong to provide families with family hygiene kit, child-friendly spaces, at iba pang pangunahing pangangailangan. In our materials also, we try to teach paano ba dapat maghanda. Siguro yun yung parang gusto namin i-emphasize dito. That Save the Children has started working on. There's this humanitarian concept called anticipatory action. So yung kaibahan ng pagtulong pagkatapos ng bagyo ay syempre yung dignity at pakiramdam ng mga tinutulungan natin. Pero kami, halimbawa, nangyari na yung Christine at yung mga sumunod na bagyo, nag-start kaming mamigay sa mga schools ng storage boxes, yung baka familiar tayo dito, yung parang mga mega boxes, yung tackle boxes. This way, yung schools can put yung mga mahahalagang school materials, school records in safety. So by participating in lahat dapat safe, yung pagtulong namin ngayon have moved from not only responding but also preparing yung communities. Kasi 'di ba, whatever we spent in preparation is a lot more savings and tulong kesa after. So ayun, it's a hand-in-hand campaign. We've also been posting paano mag-prepare ng go bags, yung mga communities that we've been working for a long time now po. Marunong sila how to do early warning system. Yung mga bata in school, nung may pasok, tinuturuan sila ano yung dapat gawin before, during, and after disaster. So yung lahat dapat safe. Will support not just yung ongoing humanitarian response namin, but the work of Save the Children in the whole spectrum of ensuring na walang batang matatakot kasi alam niya na yung gagawin niya. Yung mga schools will be able to provide with much needed training, tools para ma-safeguard nila not just the materials, yung mga teachers also know how to do, yung reporting system mismo ng DepEd. So, ayun, medyo it's a whole spectrum po.
Yeah, it's good. Sige, go ahead.
Baka, Lee, you could give us an overview for ano yung activities na meron this National Children's Month.
Ayan, sige po. So, ngayong National Children's Month, yung Save the Children Philippines have partnered through the House of Representatives, yung Committee on the Welfare of Children. Binuksan nila yung pinto nila ulit sa 32nd celebration of National Children's Month. Sila Sia Vigor, ang aming child ambassador, kasama ng mga bata from Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, ay nagsagawa ng 2 major activities. Isa dito ay yung dialogue with legislators kung saan kinumusta ng mga bata. So matatapos na po ang ating 19th Congress. Simula 2022, we've been doing this. Yung mga batas katulad ng Positive Parenting Bill na magsisiguro na yung mga pamilya ay may access to counseling at services. Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention o ang Teenage Pregnancy Prevention. Civil Registration and Vital Statistics Bill kung saan nananawagan or tutugon na siguraduhin lahat ng bata, lahat ng tao ay mayroong birth certificate. Kasi without any birth certificate, mahihirapan ng kahit sino to access yung mga basic services. And syempre, yung Magna Carta of Children. Dun sa dialogue po,
No, kasi, go ahead.
Yes po, Ms. Angel. Ginaunlakan tayo ni Representative Arlene Brosas and Angelica Natasha ko. So, nagkaroon ng exchange. And then, sinabi nila anong status of the bill, how can they ensure na bago magsara yung 19th Congress ay makikita ng mga bata na umusa dito, maipasa, ganyan. So, nagpapasalamat po tayo doon. And then, these activities also ay yung child-led climate forum. So lahat ng mga activities lang siguro, Ms. Angela and Sir Angelo, na ginawa natin sa Congress, yung mga bata mismo yung nag-organize, nag-host, nag-facilitate. So yun.
That's so nice. Pero I wanna go back dun sa mga nabanggit mo din kanina, no, yung paghahanda yung sa lahat dapat safe campaign. I'm more concerned also kasi dun sa mga areas, yung mga isolated areas na nare-report namin dito during the onset of yung iba't ibang mga bagyo natin dito sa bansa. Kasi may mga isolated areas daw doon na talagang walang access sa roads. So I was wondering, kamusta yung mga bata doon? Kayo ba, ang Save the Children Philippines, are getting in touch, 'di ba, para maabutan din natin ng tulong yung mga isolated areas?
Ayun po. Para po sa kaalaman ng lahat, yung Save the Children is working with local partners and yung local government units in mapping saang areas pa kailangan ng tulong. So, through partnering with local communities or yung mga lugar na nakapaligid kung saan naging typhoon hit sila, nakikipag-partner kami para mas mabilis din na maabot yung mga yon. So, ang lagi naming sinasabi po ay mas priority ng Save the Children Philippines yung mga pinakamalalayo at pinaka mga liblib na lugar. kung saan posibleng hindi pa sila naabot ng news, hindi pa nababanggit yung mga kalagayan nila. Ilang mga lugar po na aming sinusuportahan ngayon from Typhoon Julian, Christine, Leon, and Marce ay Tamsur, Batangas, yung Calabarzon. Ayan. So, nakapagtayo na kami doon ng mga TLS, temporary learning spaces, hygiene kits, at iba pa. We've also talked to some of the parents, yung pagbigay ng psychosocial support and counseling, lalo na doon sa mga, may mga miyembro ng pamilya na namatayan.
That's
Ayan.
true. Oo. Sige, go ahead. Sige, Miss Leia, tanong ko na lang din kasi dun sa mga iba pang natin, mga kapatid, mga branches na nanonood ngayon, na very interested sila on how to get in touch with you para makatulong din sila. Paano ba?
Ayan, sige po. Para po dun sa mga branches na nais tumulong at magbahagi ng meaningful regalo para sa mga kapamilya natin na nasalanta ng bagyo, please visit bit.ly /lahat dapat safe. Ayan, marami pong mga options for people to take part or even volunteer your time, resources at iba pa with Save the Children Philippines.
Yan. On that note, thank you so much. Congratulations sa very successful na celebration ng National Children's Month. At talagang napakaganda kasi pati yung mga bata talaga involved dito.
Sa planning, ano?
Oo, sa planning.
You're teaching them a new skill.
Tama. Alright, thank you so much. Save the Children Philippines Campaigns Manager, Lei Tapang. Thanks, Lei.
Thank you po.
Ayun. Alright, coming up. The Armed Forces confirms the presence of U.S. Task Force Ayungin in Palawan. What is this for?
And House Speaker Martin Romualdez is challenging Vice President Sara Duterte to show up in the hearings. Oh, naka-check-in ka na, di might as well attend the seminar. Di ba ganun yun daw?
The session.
Hindi, joke nga yun.
Okay.
May joke kasi na nasa loob ka na nga ng seminar, ng hotel na kung saan yung seminar, mag-attend ka na ng seminar, di ba? So, ka-check-in ka na sa session sa may Congress, attend ka na.
At least tinapad niya yung sinabi niya na dadamayan niya yung kanyang mga tauhan.
Or kung papayag siya, di mag-switch sila. Siya na lang mag-take her place.
Hindi naman pwede yun. But okay, marami pa tayong pag-uusapan. We're just getting started, mga kapatid. More of our top 10 news when Brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Of course, thank you pa rin sa Buddha's Belly for sending this over para busog naman yung ating mga tiyan habang tayo ay naghihimay ng mga issues here on Brunch.
Okay, let's read some greetings from our viewers. This one is from our Facebook platform. Alex Fuentes, good morning. Ito is from Sire Ray Legstrong Bungabong.
Wala.
Ang message niya is, I don't just buy. Ano ba pinag-usapan natin? Wait lang, ba't ganun?
Ay, hindi ko alam.
Hindi. And then we have Marvin Chavez, as in direct Marvin Chavez. Happy Friday daw. Si Migs, hello Brunchies, toink. And si Ralph Domingo, always my favorite, hakaw, dim sum, and yang chow. And si Mer Abad, Blessed Friday.
Yun. Dito naman sa YouTube, si Geraldine Balolong, watching all the way from Bukidnon, si Victorio Ryan John, si Ronald Maxtay, Elmo Cardenas, si Leonie Valdesoto, tsaka si Summer Cabrera. Ayan, nanonood din sa atin. Of course, si Tita Daisy, Tito Naldi Cancho, Mina Benales, Jerry Young, and of course, si VJ and Ice. Yan, nanonood sa atin.
Yan, good morning po sa inyong lahat. Let's move on.
Going straight now to our 7th spot, the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is for his alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in the ongoing Gaza conflict. The ICC is also seeking to arrest his former defense chief Yoav Gallant and Hamas leader Ibrahim al-Masri. Judges said Netanyahu and Gallant are criminally responsible for the widespread and systematic attack against the civilian population of Gaza. Israel's ongoing campaign in Gaza has killed about 44,000 Palestinians so far.
Oo. Nagpo-post nga sila, sino daw next?
Ito na ba yung sa prelude to Duterte's
Sino
arrest?
daw next?
Oo. Pero yun nga sinasabi ng nila ni Sec Gen Agnes Calamard, sabi niya officially wanted man na nga ito si Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and others na nakalista doon sa arrest warrant.
Pero a lot of nations and a lot of analysts are doubtful that they can ever arrest Benjamin Netanyahu at this point.
Pero yun nga, syempre yung call nila doon sa member states, 'di ba, na miyembro ng ICC na to respect, 'di ba, and demonstrate the respect dito nga sa ICC warrant of arrest na kung nandoon sa teritoryo nila dapat ibigay
Well,
sa
it all
kanila.
depends upon the incoming president-elect because you all know that the US is a very close ally of Israel, and until Israel is protected by the US, then I don't think they're going to arrest Netanyahu.
Yun na nga
But let's move on to the next.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Sitting at the sixth spot are about nuisance candidates. 14 senatorial aspirants have filed their petitions after COMELEC declared them as nuisance candidates. The list includes online personality Norman Mangusin, or more known as Francis Leo Marcos. He previously ran for senator in the 2022 elections and placed 27th with over 4.5 million votes. However, COMELEC decided to tag him as a nuisance candidate this time. The poll body has declared 117 senatorial aspirants as nuisance candidates. Only 66 aspirants were included in the partial list of official senatorial candidates for the midterm elections.
Yan yung di ba, pinag-uusapan natin yung mga pagde-declare officially ng COMELEC pagdating doon sa kanilang nuisance candidates.
But with that, we would like to talk to COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia on the phone live. Thank you, Chairman, for joining us.
Magandang umaga, Sir Diego, Ma'am Angela. Magandang umaga rin sa mga kababayan natin.
Yes, Chairman George, ito may list na nga po kayo, pero ang dami pa rin po yung confused as to ano ba talaga ang batayan ng COMELEC po with regards to sino ang nuisance at hindi. Kasi like case in point daw kay si Francis Leo Marcos na may 4.5 million votes na nakaraan, ngayon biglang nuisance.
Alam nyo, hindi naman po maitatanggi na maaaring nakakuha ang isang tao ng boto sapagkat inaakala ng mga bumoboto na yan yung mismong binoboto nila dahil sa kaparehas na pangalan. So hindi po nangangulugan ng isang tao ay nakatakbo dati ay hindi na siya pwede madeklara na nuisance sa susunod na halalan. Well, in the final analysis naman, Sir Diego, Ma'am Angela, meron pa rin naman silang motion for reconsideration at kung ano man ang maging desisyon ng Commission and Bank sa kanilang mga motion for reconsideration ay siguradong may tataas naman sa Korte Suprema. Ano ba ang basihan talaga ng COMELEC sa pagdideklara na nuisance ang isang tao? Una, hindi po namin diniklara ang isang tao na nuisance dahil sa kawalan ng pera o dahil sa kawalan ng resources. Sapagkat sa paniniwala po natin, yan po ay magiging violation ng Equal Protection Clause sapagkat wala namang property qualification na nakalagay sa ating batas eh. Kung kaya naman, ang kadahilanan ay dahil ginagawang katatawanan ang mismong electoral process o kung hindi naman, walang seryosong, wala talagang kaseryosohan yung pagtakbo nila sa eleksyon na ito.
Okay, siguro po, COMELEC, ask ko na rin, kailan po ba yung timeline natin? Kasi sabi nyo nga po, pwede sila mag-file ng, ng motion for reconsideration. Kasi by December po, magpiprint na po kayo ng ballots eh.
Alam niyo po ang sinasabi natin at ayaw naman natin na parang minamadali ang decision dahil lang sa sinabi natin na deadline. Hindi po ganoon. Yung quality ng decision na hindi pwede makompromise dahil lang doon sa naset na deadline. But hanggang December 13 po kasi ang finalization ng list of candidates natin.
Right.
Pero kung natatandaan po ng lahat, pinangako po ng COMELEC na lahat ng nuisance cases ay didesisyon na namin bago matapos po ang November 30. At yan po yung ginagawa natin sa kasalukuyan dahil nga po sa masamang karanasan natin ng mga nakakaraang mga halalan na yung mga panggulo, yung mga nuisance candidates na tinatawag ay nakakatakbo sa ating pong mga halalan na boboto at pagkatapos later on nakakaapekto yung mismong botong nakuha nila doon sa dapat na boto ng lehitimong kandidato. At ito po yung nagre-resulta sa pag-aanal ng proklamasyon hindi naman pala dapat nanalo. At ayun po, nangyari sa Negros Oriental. May namatay, may nagbuwis pa ng buhay dahil lang sa issue ng nuisance na yan.
Yes, and Chairman George, gusto ko rin maiba ng konti. No? I'd like to ask about yung recent fight or spate ni Senator Jinggoy Estrada and Mayor Francis Zamora na ina-accuse po ni Senator Jinggoy na medyo inflated daw ang voters list sa San Juan area. Ano po ang status dito? Anong tugon niyo po dito?
Alam niyo po kasi talagang sa buong Pilipinas ay may mga pagtaas sa mga ilang lugar na at may pagbaba doon sa mga ibang lugar sapagkat ang ginagawa po na pamamaraan ng ilang politiko ay nililipat po o nagkakaroon ng mass transfer of voters from one municipality to another municipality, from one city to another city. Kung tutuusin po, Sir Diego, yan naman po hindi irregular yung paglipat sapagkat natural lamang naman tao ay lumilipat dahil sa pagtatrabaho, sa pag-aaral o anumang kadahilanan. Kaya lang, alam nyo kapag yung paglipat ay napaka-unusual, saan ka naman nakakita kung libo ang biglang lumilipat doon sa isang lugar. Eh wala namang gintong na-discovery dyan o mga langis na bigla na lang na-discovery dyan, bakit bigla naglilipatan yung mga tao? Eh, ang naging findings po natin, na-weaponize ang barangay certification. Ibig sabihin, may mga barangay officials na walang pakundangan na nag-issue ng barangay certification na sinasabing doon nakatira. Yung mga nag-a-apply na yan bilang transferees o kaya mga bagong botante. Sapagkat nakalagay po sa desisyon ng Supreme Court sa kaso po ng Sabili versus Comelec na ang barangay certification ay pwedeng gamitin na pinakamataas na ebidensya ng residente yung isang tao kung walang maipakita na kahit na anong government-issued ID. Eh kalimitan po doon sa mga lugar na tumaas ang bilang, nagpapakita po ng barangay certification pero walang maipakita na other government-issued ID. Pag po ganun, wala po magawa ang COMELEC kung hindi aprubahan yung mga application na yan. At yan po nangyayari din sa ilang parte ng ating bansa.
Go ahead,
But have we checked on this na po, yung mga allegations that were made by Senator Jinggoy Estrada na marami daw pong flying voters, particularly in San Juan?
Madami po, meron na po tayong initial na findings niyan since last year pa po yun, yung naging akusasyon, aligasyon ni Senator Jinggoy, sapagkat may na-file pong petition sa amin to annul the list of voters of the entire city of San Juan. Kaya lang naman po, may mga doon po sa mga naging findings, halimbawa po sinasabi, bakit itong mga taong ito ay iisa ang address. Iisa ang address. Pinapuntahan po mismo namin yan sa mga sa task force namin at sa local COMELEC. Kaya po pala iisang address, compound po halimbawa ng mga yung ating po mga tinatawag dati mga squatters. And therefore, dahil doon, iisang address talaga natin. Minsan po isang building, dilapidated na building, abandoned. Naandun po, madami pong naandun ng mga kababayan tayo. And therefore, iisa talagang address, street pa nga lang, walang binigay mismong specific address.
Yes.
Pero marami rin po talaga na mga nag-transfer mula sa Mandaluyong, mula sa Maynila, na mga residente na ngayon ay sinasabing nasa San Juan sila.
Yes, Chairman George, gusto ko kasi itanong, this has been going on for a long time. Alam naman natin po yan na, for example, dating taga Quezon City, isang grupo po yan, nag-stay sa isang area, nagsusquat nga, tapos naka-file sila via barangay certification. Tapos, the next election, nilipat po sa Mandaluyong, next election, nilipat sa San Juan. Is this really illegal? Ano ba ang requirement period para ma-establish ang residency ng isang individual?
Ang problema po natin, kahit wala yung 6 months residency, kapag ang isang barangay official na tiwali ay nag-issue ng certification para lamang sabihin na dyan yung mismong botante o yung mismong applicant para maging botante. Ang sinasabi po natin ay patuloy po kami since nakaraang taon pa na tayo po'y naninikluhod sa ating kongreso na baka pwedeng magkaroon ng batas, ipagbawal na ang barangay certification bilang ebidensya ng pagpaparehistro o residency. Na sana meron naman tayong national ID na, yun na lang po sana. Hindi po kasi pwede ang COMELEC ang magdeklara nun.
Yes.
Kakailanganin po ng batas dahil mismong desisyon ng Korte Suprema ang nagsasabi na pwede ang barangay certification.
Pero in the meantime, Chairman George, kunyari ako, si regular citizen, meron akong information na may nangyayaring mali po. Ano po ang remedy ko? Ano po pwede kong gawin? Pupunta ba ako sa COMELEC o magka-file po ako ng kaso sa Korte?
Korte na agad.
Alam nyo, yan po yung sinabi rin natin. Katulad po yung nangyari sa San Juan. Pag po walang nag-file ng oposisyon meron po tayong tinatawag na Election Registration Board, bawat bayan, bawat syudad. Ayan po ay ang miyembro po niyan ay local COMELEC, civil registrar at ang supervisor ng teacher doon po sa area. Ang problema po, pagka walang nag-oppose o nag-question sa application ng isang prospective kabotante, ay yan po yung sigurado ma-approve. Kaya kinakailangan, mag-question natin, i-oppose natin dyan pa lamang sa ERB ng syudad o bayan. Yan po sa Makati, naku, madami pong na-oppose, kaya po madami rin pong na-reject na application for registration. Sa ibang parte ng ating bansa, nakapag-oppose po yung mga botante o yung mga kandidato doon sa application for registration ng ibang nag-a-apply. At na yan po ay kaagad din na dinisapprove yung mga application. So kailangan po, pagka may ganyan, merong kaagad nag-o-oppose sapagkat nakalagay po sa batas, pag walang nag-oppose, ang ERB ay kaagad dapat i-approve yung application.
Ayun. O sige, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, and hopefully, ma-invite po namin kayo dito para makapag-test po nung natin, yung voting machine.
Opo, maraming salamat po, Sir Diego, Ma'am Angela, at huwag kayo mag-alala, darating ang panahon, dadalhin natin sa inyo ang bagong machine na gagamitin natin sa 2025 national and local elections. Opo.
Alright, thank you so much.
Maraming salamat, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, for joining us on Brunch.
Alright, sige,
As always, si Chairman George, very lively.
Let's continue with our countdown. Now on our top 5, Senator Risa Ontiveros believes that Chinese spies have entered the Philippines through POGOs. Ontiveros says she will disclose the information when the Senate holds its final POGO hearing on November 26. According to her, some POGOs are also now being advised by certain government officials to pose as legitimate businesses like BPOs to evade detection.
May mga government officials pa na nagpapayo sa kanila ng mga ganun. Bago na lang kayo ng forma, at least legally, bilang mga simpleng BPOs lamang. Pero nakatago sa loob nun ay mga POGO operations pa rin. Na sila mismo nagpapayo sa mga POGO operators na lumusot sa ganoong paraan. Pero pinublicize ko na kaagad para mag-serve ng warning. Kung totoo yan, at alam nila kung sino sila, tigilin nila yan.
Naku, sino kaya mga government officials yan nang nag-a-advise pa na gano'n ang gawin? Kasi di ba pinag-uusapan natin dito parati na yung tungkol sa may mga BPO talaga na nagdi-disguise na POGO pa rin pala sila. Pero meron naman talagang BPO na tumatanggap lang ng clerical or administrative work, diba? From these POGOs.
That's right.
So,
akala
ko may sasabihin ka. Pero yun nga, abangan nila kasi by November, if I'm not mistaken, 25, that will be the last or final hearing on POGO sa Senate. No? So we will see
what legislation or recommendation
sila Alice Go doon and other involved personalities, and ano yung magiging recommendations nga nila tungkol dito kasi sabi nga nila in aid of legislation.
And possible recommendation of cases to be filed.
Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown.
Coming in at the 4th spot is about Mary Jane Veloso. The National Union of People's Lawyer, or NUPL, argued another legal basis for the possible clemency for the convicted OFW. NUPL President Attorney Efram Cortez told Storycon that Veloso can be freed because she is a victim of human trafficking. He explained that under the Indonesian law and Philippine law, International Law Convention, human trafficking victims should be exempted from criminal liability. Veloso previously claimed that she was unaware that her luggages were carrying heroin when she came into Indonesia in 2010.
Sinasabi namin, once transferred ang custody sa Pilipinas, the Philippine government can consider yung part na yun ng ating law and treat her as a human trafficking victim and apply yung appropriate protective measures under our domestic laws.
Yun. Pero yun nga, yung pagdating niya dito, kung kailan, hopefully target daw nila December, pero kung saan siya dadalhin, etc., ay up for discussion pa rin.
Masasabi parang kasi ng DOJ, for the meantime, they will put her in a in one of those facilities mentioned Pero kasi they have to respect also yung Indonesian courts ruling on this. At so kakapain muna ni President Marcos whether or not he can give clemency or a pardon for Mary Jane Veloso.
Actually, sinabi naman nila there are two scenarios sa pupwede. Number one, the Philippine government will ask a release from the Indonesian criminal procedure dito kay Veloso or automatic mag-grant ng clemency
A political,
itong si,
a political move.
si Pangulong
But
Bongbong Marcos.
at any rate, di ba, God willing na nakaligtas si Mary Jane from the gallows.
Whatever happens, di ba sabi nga ni Attorney Olanda,
whether it's
na
life
interview
imprisonment
natin,
here or whatever, she'll be released in a few years. At least, it's a step in the right direction.
Oo, hindi na siya mabibitay, 'di ba? At saka yun nga lang kasi sinasabi 'di ba nakita natin sa mga ibang mga reports din natin dito na natatakot actually yung parents niya na tumistigo pa si Mary Jane Veloso. Kasi ito kaso niya to sinampa niya doon sa mga illegal recruiters niya which is not related doon sa case niya sa sa Indonesia.
Basta ang hope ng kampo ni Mary Jane is ma-secure siya safely because madami she might point authorities in the right direction to capture not only the illegal recruiters but also yung mga sino nag-provide ng drugs.
Yun. Okay, sige, let's continue with our countdown. Coming in at our top 3, the Armed Forces of the Philippines confirms the presence of U.S. Task Force Ayungin in Palawan. Here's the report.
While on a visit to the AFP Western Command headquarters in Palawan just this Tuesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed the existence of what looks like a military unit of American troops. Ayungin Shoal is well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. It is also where the BRP Sierra Madre was grounded in 1999 to serve as the country's outpost. National Security Advisor Eduardo Año clarified that the special group will only provide technical support to operations in the West Philippine Sea. He stressed that Americans will not have direct participation in rotation and resupply missions.
It is solely a Philippine armed forces, Philippine forces operation. The WESCOM supported by the Philippine Coast Guard.
The AFP also insisted that help from the U.S. only comes in the form of technical assistance through information sharing and will only be within WESCOM in Palawan. It adds that these information will come in handy for programs and activities meant to protect WPS. These information, AFP added, will come in handy when they plan and implement programs and activities meant to protect the West Philippine Sea. The U.S. Embassy, for its part, says a task force will enhance the U.S.-Philippine coordination and interoperability. Recall that America has repeatedly offered to assist in supply runs in the shoal or do patrols with the Philippines in disputed waters. Manila has declined each time, saying its armed forces and Coast Guard can still manage.
Ayun. Kasi yun yung sinasabi nila na this task force was actually made right after the June 17 incident.
Yeah.
No, yun yung nagkaroon ng matinding harapan sa pagitan ng elite soldiers natin na naputulan pa nga ng daliri, 'di ba?
Navy officer, one of our Navy
at saka of
officers.
course yung Chinese Coast Guard. So kaya daw nila ginawa ito. But yun nga, according naman sa report, sinasabi nila, although nagkakaroon ng mga trainings, intelligence information, blah blah blah, doon sa area na yon, hindi naman daw nila papayagan ng Amerika sa sumali doon sa mga RORE missions natin, particularly doon sa Ayungin Shoal.
Not yet at least.
Yung Ayungin Shoal, no, just to give you context, nandoon yung natin, BRP Sierra Madre, since 1998, during
98 pa, 99?
99, di ba? During the presidency of
former President Joseph Estrada.
Yes.
One of his legacy, landmark, whatever projects.
May naitama, sabi nila.
When he had BRP Sierra Madre grounded to establish our claim in the area, that proved to be a very critical moment in a West Philippine Sea issue.
That's right. Okay, sige.
Okay, don't go away because we're not done yet. May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on the One News.
Okay, let's continue with our countdown.
Now on our top 2, the Senate has deleted the budget allocation for DSWD's Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program or AKAP. Senator Amy Marcos says the 39 billion peso budget for AKAP was realigned to the AIX program. AIX stands for Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation. Senator Marcos says the move eliminates dispute or jealousy over the fund allocation. Qualified to avail of the merged program are people subsisting below the poverty line, unemployed, and others in crisis. Ayan, so at least hindi redundant yung programs, di ba? Ibuhos mo sa isang programa. Kasi minsan may mga overlapping, matagal na natin pinag-uusapan yan eh. May mga overlapping programs across different agencies na pwede naman pag-isahin naman.
Kaya tuloy na parang nandodoble yung mga budget, di ba, lumalaki. Alright, sige, let's continue with our countdown. Remaining at the top spot is the Office of the Vice President. House Speaker Martin Romualdez challenged Vice President Sara Duterte to attend the House hearing on her office's confidential funds expenses. Some House lawmakers also have this message to the Vice President: "Huwag kang pa-victim." Here's the report.
Office of the Vice President, Chief of Staff Attorney Zulaika Lopez was cited in contempt and detained in the House Wednesday night for undue interference. House lawmakers discovered that Lopez requested the Commission on Audit to not comply to the House's subpoena of submitting the OVP and Department of Education's audit reports on confidential expenses. Vice President Sara Duterte earlier lamented the involvement of her officers in what she claims as political persecution against her.
Actually, ang ako ang mga kauban sa Office of the Vice President kay kung makita ninyo, luwigid kayo sila sa pag-persecute sa ako para makalamang ang kalaban, mandaot yun na sila o ilahan kakompetensya sa politika.
House Speaker Martin Romualdez criticized this statement. He challenged the Vice President to attend the hearings if she really cared for her staff.
Dapat na siya sumipot at mag-oath at magsalita at mag-explika kasi siya lang yata may alam kung ano nangyari sa mga pondo eh. Kaya dapat siya lang mag-explika. Huwag na lang niyang bigay sa mga officials ng OVP o sa Deputy.
House Majority Leader Manix Dalipe echoed Romualdez's statement and told VP Sara, "Huwag kang pa-victim." Other lawmakers also denied that they are politically persecuting VP Sara.
Hindi po siya fair statement of persecution po kasi we're only doing our jobs in the aid of legislation. Sana mag-participate na lang po. If they were to attend and to participate, I don't think it wouldn't drag so long na po as has happened.
And medyo questionable pa nga kasi Special Disbursement Officer attending an anniversary event. So, yun nga, lumalabas doon na ano ba sila? Event organizer ba sila? Is it within the scope of their duties and responsibilities?
The hearing on OVP's confidential funds will continue on November 25. For News 5, I'm Marian Enriquez. We are One News.
Oh, ayan na. Yung pinagkukwentuhan natin nga kanina, 'di ba? Breaking news na sinamahan nga talaga pala ni VP Sara sa detention facility ng Congress. Yung kanyang Chief of Staff, Zulaika, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan, Lopez.
Nasa courtesy, parang pinayagan siya magstay sa office ni Pulong.
Nandun siya ngayon. Pero yun nga, kasi bakit ba na-detain, di ba, itong yung kanyang Chief of Staff na si Ms. Lopez? Kasi nga daw, pinakontempt siya during the hearing the other day. Based on the letter that was sent to Commission on Audit, saying na galing, yung letter is from OVP, naka-sign doon si Lopez, and saying na parang i-ignore or wag pumunta doon sa hearing ng Congress ang COA. So parang bakit ganun? And then I think if I'm not mistaken, wala daw siyang alam doon, etc. Ganun. So parang pinakontempt siya on that.
This is a long dragging issue that could have been avoided daw had have the VP from the start, yung initial hearings pala yung regarding the budget, nag-explain na kaagad para hindi na nang drag out tuloy, naungkat nga daw yung mga ibang issues like for example, Mary Grace Piato's issue na and saka si
Cocoy
Villamin, mga nakapirma po yan sa mga acknowledgement receipts ng OVP sa mga supposedly yung confidential funds na ginastos.
Distribution ng confidential
Distribution
funds.
na po dinaan sa duffel bag. Diba? It's highly unusual daw. May instances naman daw na sometimes budget is transferred through bags or physical containers, pero very unusual that kind of amount. Kasi malaki. 500 million in total ata ang na-transfer via duffel bags. Usually wire transfer, online transfer, managers checks para may paper trail, para may accountability.
Tapos yun din, sinasabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte, wala daw siyang masyadong alam doon sa mga acknowledgement receipts, which of course raised eyebrows of so many people, especially dyan sa Congress as well, na how can you not know about this? Ngayon, ang tanong dyan kasi, itong ARs na to na pinag-uusapan natin with signatures of Mary Grace Piatos and Cocoy Villamin, are these both for the Office of the Vice President and DepEd when she was still the secretary of the department, or ano lang to sa Department of Education or solely sa OVP? Yun ang isa sa mga gusto natin sana itanong kasi we're trying to reach Congressman Zia Alonto Adjong to give us more update on this, more details on this issue. And sakto naman, to get more insights about this, we have Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adjong on the line. Good morning, Congressman. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Kong. First, ano po ang reaction nyo sa claim ni VP Sara na you're dragging daw her staff in the so-called political persecution against the Vice President?
Well, for me, for the Office of the Vice President, not to if that's her position, I think it's against the Office of the Vice President, and the Vice President herself should attend the next committee hearing. If that's what she feels, para ma-insulate yung other staff to answer questions. Questions were supposed to be answered by the special disbursement officers and the Vice President herself. If that's what she feels, then I guess it's high time and that she attends the committee hearing and answer the questions herself.
That's right, Kong. Nandun na po ata si VP Sara sa loob ng Congress. So, meron po bang another invitation or are you going to talk to her given as a premises na siya?
Well, I think she's there, or she was there. She visited her chief of staff. And the committee allowed her naman may ano naman talaga, meron naman talagang chance for our visitors to check on the detainees.
Yes.
Tapos yes, but as far as the invitation is concerned, standing naman po yung invitation ng Committee on Good Government. So she can attend naman po the committee hearings.
Oo. Until when po ba natin na i-detain itong kanyang Chief of Staff na si Ms. Lopez sa sa inyong sa House of Representatives?
The decision po is up until Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, until Monday. Yeah.
Okay. So, we would also like to know po kung na-contact na po ba natin ang PSA and of course yung Philippine National Police about po dito sa certain Cocoy Villamin at saka baka may update na rin po kayo doon sa Mary Grace Piatos.
Nabigay na po ng committee na yan yung request. Actually, the motion was approved when Congressman Bungalon made that motion to seek the assistance of NBI and PSA para ma-verify whether Mary Grace Piatos is indeed a person or a made-up character. No? And I think the agency that has the authority and the capability to affirm the identity of Mary Grace Piatos and Cocoy Villamin is the PSA. Isa yun. So sa ngayon, dahil na-approve yung motion na yun, I'm pretty sure that the chairman of the Good Government Committee, Congressman Joel Chua, has already sent letter requests for these agencies to respond to the request of the committee. So sa ngayon, I'm sure nagkakaroon na po ng coordination dyan. But let's see on Monday kasi of course we have to give time also for these agencies to respond properly kasi we're requesting them is to verify. So they have to go down to the records, no? para makita.
Okay.
And it takes a while before these two agencies can finally come up with the verified result of what we have requested them to do.
Okay, Kong, I'd like to ask if you agree po with yung mga sinasabi po ng ibang lawmakers na yung officials po ng OVP, they are aware po, at least most of them are aware about may discrepancies nga po talaga sa mga resibo and they're just keeping mum about it.
Well, that's what we've asked some of the employees there. Apparently, what it appears, based on the answers of those who have attended, yung committee hearing ay mukhang compartmentalize yung pagpapatakbo sa opisina ng Office of the Vice President. Mismo po si Attorney Zulaika Lopez ay nagsabi po siya na though she knew about the confidential funds as part of the total budget for the OVP, insofar as the expenses or disbursement or utilization of the confidential funds, that is entirely a work or a role or a task given to Miss Gina Acosta. So even this was also supported by a way of answering yung kanilang yung point person na naatasan ng Office of the Vice President to coordinate with DBM.
Right.
Si Tenido, Mr. Tenido. Si Gina Acosta nga yung ano. That's why it's very important that Ms. Acosta and Mr. Fajarda and yung Assistant Chief of Staff, si Mr. Tenerio, to attend the next committee hearing para since sila po yung nabigyan ng role at inatasan ng ganitong trabaho, baka sila po yung makakapagbigay ng mga sapat na kasagutan sa mga katanungan natin. Opo.
Pero Congressman, lastly before we let you go, I know you're a very busy person. Tanong ko lang din po, ano po yung comment ninyo, reaction po ninyo doon sa sinabi ni VP Sara na wala naman daw po siyang alam doon sa mga acknowledgement receipts?
Well, to me, kung siya po yung principal and she delegated this role and task to the Special Disbursement Officer, and we're talking about funds of the government, I would expect that she's on top of this. She knows every detail. Kasi confidential funds po itong pinag-uusapan. At pondo po ng national government, may kasabihan mo tayo na the buck stops at the principal. Being the head of the agency, she should have been more yung monitoring niya and supervision niya should have been more direct, no? Para hindi ho halimbawa kung merong mga mali, at least directly she can admonish or she can even guide or even discipline and to some point advise.
So Congressman, in essence po ba, hindi kayo naniniwala doon sa sinabi niya?
Let's take it at face value because the reason why we're also requesting these special disbursement officers to show up in the next committee hearing and ask them whether they are doing this without the knowledge of the Vice President. But to me, lahat naman po tayo ay nagtrabaho sa ahensya ng gobyerno. Pag yung po pinag-uusapan natin pondo ng opisina, especially if we're talking about 500 million, 112.5 million, these are huge amounts. And para sa akin, if lahat naman tayo nagtatrabaho sa mga opisina, hindi ho basta-basta itong nagbibigay lang natin na parang may blanket authority doon sa inatasan natin ng mga tao na gastusin yung pondo without even knowing kung paano nila ginastos.
That's right.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po ulit sa inyong oras. That was now the Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adjo. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat po.
Yan, and with that, Siksik na Friday. Thank you to Buddha's Belly for the yummy food. Marjorie Tan, Jerry Young, and may sasabihin ka?
Wala naman, meron kang pa-quote.
Okay, and with that, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote to start your weekend right. Start each day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. A quote from Roy Bennett.
Yan, maging grateful ka, ha?
I am grateful. That'll do.
That'll do. Ako yun.
And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. And he is Angelo Castro III. We're One News, all sides, all the time.